All right. All right, so welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. We're on episode 6, going through chapters 23 to 26. Today I am Midnight, your host, and I'm here with Darkness
Hello.
and Mythic.
Yo,
All right. You guys excited with lots of Light Song? I think Light Song's like two-thirds
no,
of this
two chapters.
episode.
He was in two full chapters.
Yeah, and they were long chapters too.
Yeah,
So, it's lots of your favorite god.
yeah,
Lots in
my
him.
absolute favorite god. Actually, I kind of like the other god though, but
All
yeah,
right.
no, I don't like Blushweaver at all.
All right. So let's go straight in. So yeah, we start obviously with Light Song, and he's going to find Blushweaver, as we had I think left him in the previous episode. Who
Mhm.
she's on the lawn near her palace where a master gardener has a ton of plants arranged. And Light Song mentions how they can't leave to see the city gardens as they can have anything but freedom as gods. So they have to bring the gardens to them. And Blushweaver is apparently wearing a more modest dress. And as soon as she sees Light Song, she invites him to her bedroom instantly.
Immediately.
Yep. And Light Song, however, has apparently written their conversation beforehand in the artisan script, which is I found pretty funny. Uh, but yeah, just a quick question: what do you guys think about the moving garden and Light Song's writing out of the conversation ahead of time?
The moving garden kind of makes sense. Light Song hits it on the nail. They're not allowed to be free.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised that you took notice of the moving garden, but not the moving furniture.
Oh my gosh.
She's been getting better. All right,
I'm
Darkness.
doing my best.
I
Been
think
getting better at it.
I think I would have quit if I was the gardener. You know? I'm not gonna be
No,
moving that
I don't
shit
know.
around all
At one point, it says something about them picking up trees, and I'm like, these have to be like small trees.
Yeah, right? Like, how do you pick up like a fucking full-size tree?
I mean,
Like,
there's magic in the world, so maybe.
I
But
don't, I don't think we've had any indication that any of the magic gives you super strength.
no, but I mean, maybe they could have an awakener that made the tree move itself. I don't know
You awaken the pot. The pot sprouts legs and moves.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, so,
Oh
uh,
yeah, wait. I forgot you're not allowed you're not I don't think you can awaken like living stuff. That includes
It has
like
to be
does that
dead.
yeah,
that
I
is
don't believe
that
you could
includes
awaken
plants too?
plants. Yeah, I don't think you could awaken plants, but
Huh.
you could awaken the pot.
Mhm. And
You
then
just put
have
the
it
pot
move
on
itself.
wheels, and then you just make it awaken so it can move itself around. Um, but yeah, they had a nice little conversation back and forth. And I think at one point Lightsong says he underestimated how forward Blushweaver was going to be in his script with her
Hmm.
advances. Because I think he says like
Well,
she was gonna like make an
yeah,
illusion to uh
yeah.
to get into the
Uh,
bedroom and
exactly. Was gonna make a slight nod against there to going, intimate or something, and then
yeah.
she was like, "Well, no, I just invited you directly to the bedroom," and I underestimated you.
Yeah. But yeah, so after reading the script, Blushweaver asks Lightsong if he is ready to join her plans, which he does agree, but states he is convinced that Ciri is not involved in the plots to overthrow the throne, and that he is technically here to keep Blushweaver from crushing Ciri. Blushweaver says that she's harmless, and Lightsong doubts that, and says that you shouldn't. And then she says that you shouldn't point out when a lady deviates from the truth. Blushweaver then says that they have work to do, which Lightsong is not happy about, but Blushweaver insists it'll be fun because Mercy Star got attacked the previous night. Just quick, any thoughts on
We already knew
Blushweaver
about.
being harmless?
Well, I already. I've said it numerous times. She's a bitch, and I don't like her.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely not harmless.
Yeah,
she is
I mean, even she admits that
not
she's
harmless.
deviating from the truth there, which she's supposed to be the goddess of honesty. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I'd
Among a
really,
bunch of other things.
she's really not living up to her name, in my opinion.
I mean,
Honestly, gonna backstab you.
neither does Light Song, but Like Sean doesn't really live up to his name either.
I mean, he's specifically here to make sure that Blushweaver doesn't crush Siri. That's pretty brave. He's like, I'm not gonna let you fuck with this person. I think we can hear you crunching or something, Mythic.
My bad.
um, but yeah, so then we get to meet Mercy Star. So we finally get to properly. Well, we met a couple gods last episode, but we get to properly meet another god, Mercy Star, who Lightsong states is curvaceous and busty compared to Blushweaver, who is slim and busty. Very different. Very astute observations. Mercy Star is being fanned by her servants. It's noted that Mercy Star has less style than Blushweaver, but that her color scheme is hard to wear well, which is apparently orange and gold. It's a bit of a difficult color scheme to pull off.
A bit. It's very hard to pull off.
Very in your face color scheme. Blushweaver then tries to soothe Mercy Star, but also direct her to thinking that Idrians were the ones behind the attack on the palace. Mercy Star also seems to have been completely unaware that Ciri was not the princess who was supposed to become the queen. So Blushweaver has to kind of point that out to her that no, they sent the wrong princess. Lightsong then pulls Blushweaver to the side to mention that they do not know that the Idrians are involved, but Blushweaver insists that it can't be a coincidence that there was an attack when war is upcoming, and it's a god with lifeless commands, who they can try and find the commands of or just kill the god. Lightsong admits that she makes good points and ends up agreeing to talk to Mercy Star more. Do you think Blushweaver's points are pretty accurate? Even if you don't agree with her tactics and everything, do you think her points are pretty accurate that you could assume that it could have been an Idrian just because of like it was a god with lifeless commands?
Yeah, but with that said, like it's so weird who gets lifeless commands. Like it doesn't seem like the people that have lifeless commands are like very like in need of them, or that they go with the way that the type of god they are.
Yeah, I think
It's
we
weird.
learned that Mercy Star is the goddess of kindness.
Yeah, which is why would you give war commands to somebody who is the god of kindness?
I mean, we got the god of bravery and the goddess of kindness. There's so far two of the gods of lifeless commands, which we'll learn of one other person with lifeless commands later. I
What
think in
if
the
she said,
final
"Can I
chapter.
kindly win this war?"
Hmm?
You know. What if
Wait,
she
in the
said, "Can I
final
bring
chapter?
I think it's the second. I think it's the second Light Song chapter that we learn who
Oh,
the.
the final in this one. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, no.
Didn't we?
The final chapter we're gonna discuss today is
Oh
who
yeah,
we when we
Gotcha.
learn who
Okay.
another one is.
like the end of the book.
Yeah, I thought he meant then
No,
he
not the
meant the
end of
end
the
of the
book.
book, and I'm like,
No.
that'd be a really weird time to put lifeless
No, no,
command.
no, no. Yeah, no. I meant the final, the final chapter of this episode. Um, but yes, you guys don't agree that Light Song should have like just automatically been like, okay, yeah, your points are valid.
I agree that they are valid if not given the information that we already know, because we know who
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah,
But like
from what he knows, from the information he
Yeah,
has.
from
that would
the
be kind of
information that they are
yeah.
given, yes, it makes sense. It's a very what's the word? It's a very good time to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Like wars on the horizon, so you would attempt to hurt the enemy as much as you possibly could. I mean, that's what Vivenna and all of them are doing right now, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Although they're not being so blatant to go into a god's palace.
I mean, they were gonna go or they were gonna go remove a bunch of lifeless, so
Yeah.
also a pretty blatant thing.
Yeah, that is a pretty blatant thing. But yeah, so then Blushweaver tells Mercy Star they're going to trust her with knowledge, and that even though Halandran will have more rights to the throne with a child of royal blood, so will the Idrians. Mercy Star then asks Lightsong what he thinks, and Lightsong replies that preparations can be wise, but the same can be said for dinner, which annoys Blushweaver. She's like, God damn it, Lightsong. Blushweaver says that they're just going to talk and plan, and then bring any evidence to the God King, which seems to relax Mercy Star, because she's kind of like iffy on the whole thing, but like Blushweaver's very good at being like, no, we're just gonna like talk about things and we'll bring any evidence we get to the God King and it'll be fine. Just preparations, just in case. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Mercy
Goddess
Star?
of manipulation.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what are your thoughts on Mercy Star in general, and also what are your thoughts on how Blushweaver kind of like speaks to her?
Well, it annoyed me because like You fucking rat, you know?
She's a little condescending in my opinion, in the way she talks
Yeah.
to Mercy Star.
Well, I mean, if I mean, as much as I don't like her, you have to kind of understand the fact that like I feel like she would have been if she was given lifeless commands, it would have made more sense for the god that she is, especially when she explains all of the things that she has like titled for. Like it does make a lot more sense with certain things she does. But
Hmm.
like it's that's why I said it's very weird that who gets lifeless commands. It's almost like the most insignificant people are getting the lifeless commands.
I don't know if they're necessarily insignificant, but definitely the ones that are the least interested, it feels like.
Or just like the what type they are. I mean, I guess light songs make sense because of what type of god he is because he's supposed to be brave, but like
I
he's
feel
just not.
like I could argue that the reason that you would give the goddess of kindness the lifeless commands is because you don't want warmongers. You want someone who's like, we want kindness and this is our only choice, and that's why when you would use them. Like they would go for diplomacy and kindness first over just warmonger.
I just give away my lifeless commands to be honest.
To
Be like, here you
Blushweaver?
go. Just a general. I'd be like, I don't want these. They're too much.
Hmm.
I just want to be lazy, sit in my palace, and be a god or not a god. Who cares?
Whichever.
Exactly.
All right. So yeah, Blushweaver and Lightsong then leave. Blushweaver states she loves Mercy Star because she does as she should, which is whatever Blushweaver wants. Blushweaver then complains about Mercy Star, the goddess of kindness, getting troops while she has none. Lightsong gets distracted from what Blushweaver is saying by the thought of an attack at Mercy Star's palace, and he is shocked to hear that someone was killed and instantly wants to go back. Blushweaver doesn't really want to go back though, and she leaves. And Lightsong then goes back to Mercy Star's palace and asks how the one man died. He's told that one of the four servants encountered was killed, and Mercy Star says her priest will know how the man was killed, as she does not. He also says it's more of a comfort for her if he doesn't stay, because she's like, why won't you just stay and comfort me instead? Why do you care about this? So yeah, I just wanted to kind of note here, like we did not see Vasher kill anyone, uh, unless he did this off page. Like as far as we saw, he specifically was very much not trying to kill anyone. And I think we'll get more into what exactly happened in that circumstance in the second Light Song chapter. So I don't really want to go too much into that there, but to just want to make the
Yeah.
note that.
But I did, and while when I first was reading this chapter, I did go back to make sure because I was like, I don't remember him killing anybody. I remember somebody almost dying,
Mhm.
but I don't remember him killing anybody. And I was like, so I went back in the chapter, and yeah, in the chapter, there's nothing that says he killed anybody,
Yeah, I
which
actually
is
also went back when I was doing this just to make note, and I was like, there's no ambiguity that like maybe someone died due to like an injury, because he did knock a lot of people unconscious, but it was
Mhm.
very specific that they were just unconscious. Um, yeah, so then Lightsong then asks Larmar, Scoot, to be the only one of his priests to accompany him. And Larmar comments that this is unlike Lightsong for him to be curious enough to want to do something. Lightsong notes that he feels energized and excited. He also says this feels familiar. So, what are your thoughts on Lightsong's sudden curiosity and excitement?
I so this made me, come up with a theory just now,
Hmm.
not too long ago. I'm gonna save that until later though.
Okay, that's fair.
I could give the theory that I did have when I was reading, which is like it's not the first time he's gonna, go,
Hmm.
you know, deal into stuff like this before. Right?
Hmm.
Because if this catches his attention out of all things right now, then it has something to do with this path. Is what I first thought. Right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to talk to. My issue for this chapter was coming up with questions that didn't go too much into the second Light Song chapter. It's a little difficult when we got like a lot of one character. to have like some good discussion in the first one. Did you have any initial thoughts, Mythic?
Yeah, he's a detective of some sort.
Fair, fair.
I mean, we're trying to figure out his past life kind of idea, including him. He's trying to figure it out too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was a detective at some point, or
Mm,
something to that extent.
yeah. Uh, so yeah, so
And
then
that was my initial thought before we get to the last chapter, anyways. But
yeah. But yeah, so then Lightsong approaches some of Mercy Star's priests, and they point him to where the murder happened, and there are workers replacing bloody wooden floorboards. Lightsong has them tell him how the man died, and we learn that the one that died was the one tied in rope, and that a dueling blade had been stabbed through his heart. After inspecting the floor, Lightsong notices a section devoid of color, indicating an awakener was there. Lightsong is sure it isn't an Idrian who did this because of the awakening. The priests also indicate that the lifeless squirrel was well made as it was using modern command words and had ichor alcohol replacing its blood. The priests then state that they scared him away, saw the man fleeing, and that he was possibly after art, and they think he was a common burglar. Lightsong then walks away, feeling surreal as he feels the priests are lying to him. He feels he knows because of some instincts that he hadn't known he possessed, and that the lies excite him. So, why do you think the priests are lying, and why do you think this excites Lightsong?
Because there's obviously more to it, you know. And for once, he's feeling that urge to, step up, you know.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think the priests are lying?
Um, Fuck, it's so hard to not say stuff that we
That's
know,
fair. If it's
but
gonna go more into your theories, we can wait on that if you want.
wait, no, but Loki, we do know because of
I mean,
the
yeah,
past
because
chapter.
because of that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
fair. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
what
was
I
just
was
kind
gonna
of
say.
getting more into like
They're,
the
they're,
whole
they're
like
trying not to let him know that about the trapdoor
yeah,
or whatever
uh-huh,
might be underneath that trapdoor,
yeah.
because I feel like they have an inkling that if they tell him too much, he'll want to investigate, and
yeah.
they cannot tell him no, which is weird to me because well later I think it's the next episode or the next chapter, but yeah, they can't tell him no, so
There's definitely a lot these priests are hiding. Like we get a lot of like
oh yeah,
hints that like there's a lot kept from the gods.
and everyone else in the kingdom.
um, did you have anything more to say on that mythic, or should we move on?
That's it.
Okay. So yeah, Lightsong then speaks to Larimar, stating that because of the awakening, it definitely wasn't an Idrian who did this. Um, and Lightsong also states the person who broke in must have been rich to be using a lifeless. Larimar says Lightsong has solid reasoning. Lightsong says he needs to get drunk because he feels so unlike himself, which again, Larimar states that Lightsong can't get drunk, but Lightsong says he enjoys trying, which I guess is fair. It's noted that Larimar seems unsettled, but Lightsong is excited. Lightsong notes that Mercy Star's priests are hiding something, and why would the person run away so quickly? It's noted that Lightsong keeps thinking of this throughout the walk back, his evening meal, and into the night. So, why do you think Larimar seems so unsettled by Lightsong's new interest?
Because he knows who he was beforehand
You think he's like worried about like him remembering
and
his
finding
past or
it out.
something?
Yep. I'm also beginning to believe that Lightsong might not have been a good person.
Hmm.
Could have been a criminal. He knows a lot about criminal activity, apparently.
Fuck. That goes into my that goes
The
into my
interior
Oh, is
theory.
theories.
that going into
Yeah.
darkness?
Yeah. I had a feeling. I had a
I
feeling that
might
was
as well
going to be
just.
your theory.
I'll remember that dude that Tang Fa and the others said that died.
Oh,
Oh no,
Arsteel?
I don't believe he's that guy, but that's a good theory though.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I don't. I wanted to ask, like, do you know how long ago that was? They didn't go into that, right?
We
Like so.
know the only timeline we really have for when Vasher was last around was he says he met Vaughn about 5 years ago. We don't know if he was with Denth and Tonk Fa at that time, but he was definitely in the city. We don't know if he stayed in the city after or not,
Mm,
but he was definitely around 5 years ago, which Lightsong is 5 years old.
mm, okay.
So
Yeah.
that
So
could that could
it's a theory.
it is a theory.
It's
Um,
a pretty concrete
Just
one.
one of the many possibilities.
Yep.
So
Big concrete one too. All
that
the
is
facts kind of put
chapter. Oh,
through it. No, sorry. Go ahead.
that was chapter 23. So chapter 24, we get back into Ciri's point of view. So Ciri is wearing a black and white gown with a 10-foot long train, which is just ridiculous to
Crazy.
me. Hmm?
So that's just crazy.
It's so fucking long. Like it's probably like
Why? Why do
twice
you
the
need
length of
10
her.
feet? You need
Well,
a 10-foot train.
yeah, they're also gonna have to carry it.
Yeah, like but there's apparently like servants like carrying this. But yeah, she's currently walking through the scribe's quarters. Ciri thinks about how she is secretly teaching Susebron to read and write, which thrills her. However, she's worried about Bluefinger's warnings. Ciri also briefly wonders why the God King's bedchambers are in the servants section of the palace and not the main section. Oh,
Oh,
Sorry.
is that?
My phone's going off because what I was watching earlier.
Oh, yeah,
I accidentally tapped it. It turned on. My bad.
yes.
All right. But yeah, so Ciri's briefly wondering why the God King's bedchambers are in the servants section of the palace and not the main section. Do you have any thoughts about why the God King's bedchambers may be in the servants area of the castle or palace?
Because he's a servant.
I mean, it would make sense the fact that they would keep him there because I doubt they're gonna like I doubt there's gonna be much risk of him learning more in the servants section than in like a main section.
Well, I do think they do state at some point in this chapter that both Ciri and Susebron during the day are in the colored rooms that where all the furniture gets moved to. And I think they're just like separate though. They're not allowed to spend time together during the day. But they're both
Because
generally in the colored areas.
they don't want her talking to their
Well,
puppet.
yeah, I'm just saying that like he's not always in the servants' quarters. He is in like the like normal areas of the
It
palace.
would be interesting to see Siri actually see him in the middle of the day, though, other than just at that procession. But
Mm-hmm.
like him just whatever he does in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what he does with his time. Like he can't
Yep.
he's not allowed to read, that's for sure.
Yep. That is interesting.
Um but yeah, so Ciri enters the library and demands books. The priest try and tell her the books in the library would be too boring, but Ciri insists she wants to read those books. Then Trelades arrives and says she will not be taking the books. Trelades says the books are valuable and not to leave the library, and that the God King himself has wished that, which I think Ciri has like a little thought, like, oh, did he really? Did he really think that?
Did he really wish that?
Did he really? And Trelades states that if Ciri is to read the book, she must stay in that room, which Ciri refuses and leaves because she's like, they're gonna be trying to distract me and like be looking over my shoulder. I can't read with them, basically
Mm-hmm.
in the same room with them. So, why do you think Trelades doesn't want the books leaving the library? Is it actually because they're too valuable, or is he just worried about what information she's going to get?
I definitely think it's the latter. I mean, if you have all these books here, knowledge is power, and if you have all the books, you can easily keep an eye on them if they're in a specific spot. So, like, if they don't leave that area, then you can keep an eye on who's reading them and what passages they might be reading.
Hmm.
So you can manipulate your own situation more. I just found it very interesting that he said no to her.
Yeah, he was very firmly like, no. You can, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
his reasoning that he can say no is he claims the God King says they must not leave the library.
yes, but just the fact that he said no in general, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
showing your hand there, bud.
He's like, absolutely not. That does not happen. he was, yeah,
Yep.
he was very firm when he first came in.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a classic classic scenario of like they both have information, but neither one can actually share the information they have. Like she knows that he can't speak, so like because he has no tongue, so there's
Hmm.
no way the God King told him that. And he also knows this, but if either one of them were to say that outright, like it wouldn't be good for either of them.
Hmm. Do you have any thoughts, Darkness?
Nah, Mythic covered all of it for me.
I
All
tend to
right.
do that, don't I?
We
It's good.
then
Less talking for me.
We then switch to the evening with Ciri and Susebron. Susebron is communicating by writing with charcoal on a board. His spelling's not the best, but he's able to communicate pretty efficiently. He states that Ciri should not anger the priests. Ciri also notes that she has
Don't
the
anger the press.
priests.
But he says press.
Oh yeah. Ciri also notes that she has a cup she holds to the wall to listen for when the priests and servants leave the room next door, but she whispers just in case there's a couple that don't leave, like if they're trying to trick her. Do you think that any of the servants or priests are staying back, like they're kind of like putting on a show in case she's listening?
Well,
I don't think they're. I don't think they're that smart.
Mm.
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. You really think they're gonna try and risk it? Because after all, even if like they get their stuff done, if she steps out of line and they're able to hear that, they're gonna have to act. So there's
Mm.
gonna have to be precautions there. So yeah, probably there's still some probably there.
You think there's like one or two people, yeah, just keeping an
Yeah.
eye. Yeah. So then Susebron states that his priests are good men, but Ciri retorts that they cut out his tongue. Susebron's response is that it was necessary because he has too much power. We also learn that Susebron has been ruling Halandrin for 50 years, which I believe they say that his biochroma, when you get to a certain heightening, it like his aging is like slowed down significantly.
Yep.
Which is why he only looks like he's in his 20s. So he's like probably like more than double Ciri's age technically. Ciri then tries to explain sarcasm to Susebron, who seems to sort of understand it.
Not really.
They then talk about people being afraid of Susebron not just because of his power, but because of the armies he controls. Susebron thinks people must know he wouldn't kill good people, but Ciri explains that people don't know him. They just know how powerful he is. What do you think about Susebron's opinions of his priests?
Naive.
Naive, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, gotta be understanding. Like, he's a puppet. They're not gonna show him their
Yeah.
true selves. They're gonna show him what makes it so that they can manipulate him.
Yeah.
And if they show him that he's a very powerful being, and we must take your tongue so that we can basically handicap your power. Like, if you say it right, of course somebody's gonna be lenient to that fact, and they're gonna just go, okay, yeah, sure, I'm too strong. You had to do this,
Hmm.
especially if they did this at a young age when you're impressionable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sure they've been kind of manipulating him a lot over the decades.
Yeah, that's what I feel like they're gonna try to do with the child if they ever get one.
Hmm. So they then speak about Susebron's storybook a bit, which I think Ciri knows is likely his only possession that he's ever been allowed to keep, because they always like bring stuff out and then take stuff away as soon as you're done with it. So like he's never really probably owned anything properly except for this storybook. It's also apparently a book that his mother would read to him as a child, which I think he seems very fond of his mother. Um,
Mhm.
Seems like they had a
But
good
he never met
relationship.
his father.
Yeah. The conversation then moves to why Susebron didn't take her that first night, and we learn that Susebron has no idea how having children works.
Yeah, he
Which I think
just
we had.
spent time with them, right?
Yeah, he's just like, you just spend the night together. We've spent so many nights
Mhm.
together. What are we doing wrong? And she's like, oh, I see. Which I think
I'm not teaching him that.
we had kind of discussed, like he probably didn't
Yep.
know how to do anything. And so I don't think any of us are surprised that he has no idea about how having kids works, right?
I mean, when you stunt the knowledge given, of course, there's no way he's gonna know. You would think though that they would teach him that though beforehand, but
Yeah, you'd think they'd teach him something, but I mean,
I
if
mean,
no one's
yeah,
allowed to even
like
see him naked.
exactly. But if you would have at least been like, I mean, okay, wait, you're not allowed to see the God King naked, right? So then don't have him naked. They have no problem with showing skin any other time.
Yeah.
So why can't you just have two prostitutes come in and just do the deed? And then there you go. Look, Susebron, this is how it's done. This is how you will have a child. Okay. At least that makes him understand what he's supposed to do with Siri.
Yeah.
Hmm.
like there are plenty of ways around it where he doesn't have to be naked. You don't have to touch him. Like all these things. Like I don't know. It's just very weird to me that they didn't show him what needs to be done.
Yeah. Well, I think also the one thing is like they specifically I think say that they didn't actually expect the Idrians to send one of their daughters. So I guess maybe they didn't think that they would actually need to show him.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like they obviously made this deal however long ago, 20 years
Yeah.
ago or something to that extent. So they should have had like at least the contingency that the people would, you know, abide by their, what they wanted.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't, they still want the bloodline in some aspect. So like, wouldn't it have been just as easy to be like, okay, well, we win the war, now we'll take your daughter anyways, like
Yeah.
spare your daughter until the end of the war, and then basically have Susabron do what we need, kind of idea. Like there are plenty
Yeah.
of ways you could have done it. So like, I feel like that knowledge should have been given to him, and
Yeah,
I don't
it
think it
really
would
should
have been
have.
that. Yeah, and I don't think it would have been that detrimental to their probably their ultimate plan. So
Yeah, I don't know.
it's just
They
very weird.
they they really should have given him some knowledge.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, so next they speak about Bluefingers, who is worried about them having a child. Susebron can't seem to explain why he needs to have a child now, and like, because she kind of goes on like, well, he's like, oh well, we need to have an heir now, and she's like, yeah, but why not sooner? Like, if they're so concerned about an heir, like, why specifically now? And he doesn't really can't seem to explain that. Siri believes that the priest must think there is some sort of danger. It's also not completely known how the previous four God Kings died. Susebron states that a God King can cure many people compared to how a normal returned God can only cure one. I think he also states that like his dad died like healing a bunch of people or something. Like he like used his power or something, and that's how he's gone. So yeah, what do you think about the deaths of the previous God Kings and the fact that a God King can heal many people?
I don't believe that's truth at all.
They definitely got murdered.
I don't know about murdered, but I definitely think that like their power goes into the child in some way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
Whether it be that like it's a obviously a dead fetus, so I need to bring it back. The only way to do that is to give up my breath. They're my child. Of course, I'm gonna do that kind of idea. Or if it was just like in the actual like intercourse part of it, then it siphons out power. I don't, there's plenty of ways it could possibly have happened, but
Hmm.
I definitely think I don't think he gives it to many people and dies.
Mm.
Nah, I think well, obviously, yeah, they had to like pass on power, right? But I definitely think they got murdered after. Like, I think they survived.
Do you think they survive after they give up their breath because
Yeah,
then they
for
become
sure.
drabs? Uh,
Because I mean, I feel like after that, like, it low-key makes sense about that theory that you had where they murder the gods, like the priests or something to
yep.
murder the gods after,
Mhm.
Yeah, because you
Yeah,
guys
instead
I
of
think
that'd
had
be
in a
discussed how
secluded
you think
area.
that like I think like you had said like maybe Vasher was like a previous god and like he gave away his
yep.
breath and then escaped or something. I think was your
Yeah,
guys'
and
Yep.
that
theory.
that would make sense too.
It
Yeah.
would, especially since he knows a lot. But I mean, and that's definitely up there. But the only reason I think that's for the gods and not for the king is because the king is supposedly a stillborn child, and they're technically like dead people. Um, so in my opinion, I feel like it might be a little different for the God King. That maybe he gives away his power, and it actually does maybe not kill him, but pretty much put him into a state that he should be dead anyways.
Well,
Hmm.
it's definitely like different because
Mhm.
wait, I don't know if we gotten into that, but have we? Well, he does need two breaths instead of one, so
Yep, he
Well, they
is
say they
different.
give
That's the
him
thing.
two breaths. They don't.
yeah.
I don't think they specifically say he needs them. They say they give him two breaths
Hmm.
a week
Yeah, he
instead of
gets
the one.
two. They get one.
Yeah, which I think it is implied it's to keep building up the like what was it called again? What was the name for it? The life treasure or whatever it was called.
Mhm.
that gets passed on.
Mhm. I'm trying to think of like there's so much happening.
Oh yeah.
uh
All right. But yeah, so Ciri then wonders if the threat that Bluefingers mentioned is coming from the priests themselves, but she doesn't understand why they would want to endanger their god king. She then thinks that not having an heir is likely as dangerous as having one, because Bluefingers is like, oh, having the heir is like super dangerous, and she's like, yeah, but also not having one is also just as dangerous at this point, at least for her, in the very least.
Hmm.
So that was chapter 24. And then chapter
24.
25, we get to switch back to
Venom.
Vivenna's POV. So she is currently worried that everyone recognizes. They're like out in public, and she's worried that everyone is recognizing her. But she's tried to disguise herself in a way that no one would be able to. Although Vivenna insists on modest outfits, due to the heat and humidity, she finds herself understanding why other women would wear such immodest outfits. She's like, damn, this is like sweaty and warm. I wish I could wear something less covered. I think she got like I think she says she has like one of the more covered outfits that they could find for her. And yeah, currently the group is in a garden area, although it's mentioned that much of Tetelier is garden-like with all of the plants that they have. Vivenna notes that Jules is extremely hard to spot and Denth is impossible to spot in this crowd currently. And they're both stealthy and blending into the crowds. There are also the special tiers of Edgley flowers in planters around the area. Vivenna doesn't like that they've been moved, but also notes that if you live in a city, you kind of need to bring nature to you because most people can't just be out in nature when you live in such a gigantic city. We then get distraction number 1. A building next to Tonk Fan Parlin is set on fire, and as people rush to help, Claude smashes his club into the leg of a horse. This poor horse just
Very poor horse.
just destroys this horse's leg. And it's pulling a carriage for Nanrova, High Priest of Stillmark. And then Distraction 2 is a trunk from the High Priest carriage falls out and spills open, scattering gold coins. As people are distracted by both the fire and the gold coins, Denth apparently is going to raid a nearby shop with some thieves who will keep what they steal, as Vivenna just wants the goods gone. So yeah, any thoughts on the distractions and how good Jules and Denth are at being stealthy?
Go ahead, Darkness.
it's just a chain of like putting distraction after distractions. I think I think that's pretty cool. you
You
know,
think it was some good
with the way
distractions so that they could raid
yeah,
the store?
with the way like it's just all working. They pretty much have everything set up correctly.
Good at their job.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I
for
mean,
sure.
that's been shown numerous times that they're good at their job, but I mean, I don't know. I think they could have done it a little differently. I don't think they had to hurt a poor horse.
Yeah, well, they wanted
But
that chest, I guess, off the carriage.
I do wonder. I do wonder how like they're gonna react to the horse's like poor thing. I do feel bad about it.
Just a little bit of
yeah, they're
animal abuse.
very, exactly. But they're very good at their job. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I thought about that horse's leg, I cringed so hard.
Yeah, I don't
That
I
was
don't think that
not
would be
it.
fun.
yeah, I mean, it really wouldn't be. It's sad. Sad for the horse.
Hmm.
It's okay. It can be a lifeless eventually.
Oh gosh.
God.
So yeah, we then skip a few
See, I
hours.
would have felt better.
Oh.
I would have felt better if they said that it was like a lifeless. The horse was a
Or if
lifeless,
like
so like it was
like
already dead.
why not just like smash one of the wheels on the carriage instead of the horse's
Right?
You know
leg?
There are
what?
so many other ways to do it. Don't hurt the
Yeah.
horse. Damn it. Because you were saying midnight. Sorry.
No, that's fine. You guys were. I didn't realize you were still going. Um, but yeah, so it then time skips a few hours, and it's known that Dent and Tonkfa have yet to return. Jules is very much on edge and asks Vivenna not to speak to her. After Vivenna asks whether they should be back yet, Vivenna then tries to tell Jules she understands and that she should never have had her breath taken. But Jules basically just laughs at her. And we find out that Jules actually does follow Halandrin's religion, and that she willingly gave out over her breath to the God King. So she specifically gave her breath to the God King. It then she says that it helped her family, and she's proud that she did this. We
She said
also,
it only helped her family for a year.
yeah,
How is a breath only worth a year?
I don't know, but she's
That's
really proud of
crazy.
herself for this.
Yeah, I mean, helped her
To
family
be
out.
to be fair, it's not like a year for one person, it's a year for the whole family.
Yeah,
But
she has like
like you would
multiple
you would
siblings and
think
stuff.
though that the kingdom would be able to like, basically make you wealthy enough that you could live very comfortably for a long time.
Well, they're paying what?
Not
How
a
many
year.
people every week
Yeah, that's
for
what I'm saying. Like
Hey,
that
like
would be
they have moving buildings pretty much. They have moving stuff that they could just move an entire bathroom, but and then destroy all that stuff.
I
yeah,
mean,
but
the carpenters in this city must make great money.
Exactly. So they obviously have the money to shell out.
I don't know.
Maybe save some of the stuff that you're using and manipulating in your gods' palaces, and pay these people a little more. A year just
Um,
doesn't seem that much.
yeah. Well, yeah. So it was yeah, it was years worth of thing, and I think she says later that like or I don't remember if it was now or later, but she mentions how like it was enough to like get her like family back into business and everything, and they still to this day uh like run this. I don't remember what type of business it was.
It was a not textile. It was
Like a sawmill or something? Is it or
no. I thought it was like fabric or something.
might be? I don't remember. I did
I thought
not
he
know.
was
That was one thing I did not note down.
something about a textile, but I think
Mm. But yeah, we also during this conversation learned that Tonkfa is from Pankal, so he follows their religion, which is not the same as
mm-hmm.
Halandrin's religion, which we have learned multiple times. Do not confuse
Multiple
them.
times.
they they do not accept the God King as a god. And then we also get told that Jules has absolutely no idea where Denth is from. And then Jules compares giving her breath to the God King to Adrian's giving a child to be a monk, which Vivenna silently disagrees that these are like not the same thing. Jules is very annoyed that Vivenna is pitying her, and Vivenna eventually just goes upstairs. So yeah, what do you think about Jules's faith, and do you kind of agree with her that like giving your breath away is the same as having one of your kids become a monk?
Yes, I believe, in my opinion, the Haladrin's philosophy and their philosophy is of being a monk are practically the same idea, especially since the fact that like they're not killing themselves to give this breath; they just become drab.
Hmm.
Where the other people, they're not killing themselves; they just become pretty much just like monk. Like they don't
Yeah.
do anything. They help people, but they don't really like do anything. What I found interesting was that when pressed about it, about or was it maybe it's later when she's pressed about it. Dang it, I can't remember exactly,
I think
but
it was during this section because the next section is when
I
Denth
thought it
comes
was.
back.
Yeah, but I didn't know if it was they were talking. She was talking to Denth about it, but
Mm.
um, possibly because he didn't really talk to her much, so it could be possible that they were talking to Denth. But later when they talked to Denth, then she states a thing that I, I can't wrap my head around. Why are they doing all of this
Mm.
against Hallandrin if she is so adamant about the Hallandrin lifestyle? Like, oh, I gave my breath to the king. Like you like the king. Why are you sabotaging them? I don't care how much money you gave me. I would manipulate the situation to make it look like I was helping you, but not really helping you.
Yeah, I think
If
Dent
that was
says
the
that
scenario.
they can. They're basically just Vivenna's tools. They're not really. I think what Den says later is that like they're not really working against the Hilandran gods.
Yeah,
Vivenna
it's
is.
her working.
Yeah, and they're just being like her tools to do it, but it's not really them.
I mean, I
Uh,
can understand Tonkfa and Dent being okay to do that, because they don't really have a stake in it. But
mhm.
you gave your breath to the God King. Why are you helping, though, is my question on Jules. But
Yeah, we don't know how Jules got into this line of work. Like, why isn't she working in her family's business? Why is she like decided to like work as like a mercenary instead? Because she seems pretty proud of her family's business. Like, she was happy that they're back in business, and it's still. I think one of her brothers is still running it, and
yep,
all this stuff. I think
very
she also
weird to
says they're
me.
doing pretty well for themselves or something. No.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the way she stated it was that they had a year of, like, basically they were able to survive a year on what they were given for her
Yeah, and I
breath,
think she says it like gave
and
them enough
then
time for like I think it
keep,
was her
yeah,
dad or
enough
something to
time
get
for him
back
to
into
get
work.
back to whatever his job was. And that, I mean, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, if you have money and you don't have to, and you feel comfortable, you could easily work your way back to whatever it was. I don't think it might have had a little impact on the business. Like, they could have funded the business and maybe off of some of the money, but like I feel like it was just something of, he had to put some actual time into it, and he ended up just getting his business back. I don't know
Hmm.
if it was all, anything with the money as much as I think the money was probably just for living
Yeah,
and
we don't
not
know if it like
starving.
went
Like
into
she
the
said, her,
business or not.
yeah, I mean, she said her brothers or whatever, her siblings were starving. So,
Yeah. Do you have any
Okay.
thoughts, Darkness? Yeah.
Yeah. So I look at it. I look at the original question like a bit different. Like my answer is a bit different.
Hmm.
So I personally think that the monk thing, like giving a child or like a person away, right,
Hmm.
is way worse than giving your breath away.
Oh, really?
Because if you give your breath away, you're still with your like family. You're still like free.
Well, I mean, as far as we know with the monks is they still work in the same town.
Yeah, but 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 you don't really belong to your family anymore, considering that you're gonna be there most of the time. So
But I mean, they obviously
you-
still get to meet up and stuff. Like, I think it's
yeah,
the
but
monk stuff
like
is more like you are like kind of like high. You're like I don't know if they actually get paid, but they're like kind of basically like here to like help like elderly people and like injured people and like all sorts of things. The monks.
yeah, but I feel like the breath thing is just like a one time, like sort of thing, and then the monk thing is just like a whole like is that I'm pretty sure it's like a whole lifetime thing. So
Yeah, I think it's basically becomes like your job
yep.
is the monk thing. But like the monks can still get married and everything. We're told.
You say
Well,
that
I'm like saying like they're not like slaves, like they're not like necessarily like slaves and stuff like that.
and neither of the
yeah,
dread.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And also like they get like less like, choosing in general, like of how they want to live their lifestyle.
Hmm.
So
I mean, who's to say that they do, though? Like, you kind of lose something when you give away your breath too. Like, you're not living the same life that you would otherwise.
Hmm.
I mean, you might not be this different person that Vivenna assumed that they were, but like, there is stuff that obviously gets changed when you become a drab. Like, you can't just be the exact same person that you would be if you had breath.
Yeah.
yeah, but there's
So,
always a possibility of you getting like a breath back.
yes, and there's always the possibility that they leave the monkhood. I mean, they
I
might
don't I
not
don't know
be
if they can.
great. Well, it might not be great, but I mean, like, you can do anything. Like,
Yeah, you see that's
what are
the
they gonna do?
issue.
Kill you for trying to leave? Like,
You never know.
you're not wrong, but they didn't state that, and it seemed as if
That's
her
like
sister liked being a
yeah,
monk, and so
yeah.
you could assume that almost everybody does that's in there, whether they were children and then just given to the monk, becoming a monk or otherwise. But like, they
It's
tend
also
to seem like they're treated well enough.
one
Yeah,
one
but you
point I
can
also
also
want to make is that a lot of times the people who give their breaths away are in horrible situations and like you're kind of exploiting
Mhm.
the poor, whereas the monks are only for noble and rich families. Not everyone does. It's only like really well-off families that have to give a child away to be a monk.
Yep. It's basically the other side of the coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the
But it's
rich
still the
helping
same
the
coin.
poor instead of the poor helping the rich.
Well, I mean, in both scenarios, though, it's wait. Well, yeah, because both scenarios, it's the rich helping the poor. Oh, because the poor ask the God King to take their breath so they can get money. That's the rich helping the poor. The rich give monks to the basically the society, the poor. So, I mean, in both
They're both
aspects, the rich
yeah,
are giving something in return. Like,
they're both religiously connected, so
yeah. But I mean, I think they're both rich giving to the poor in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the fact that we don't get like that much like perspective into like the monkhood stuff.
Yeah, no, it
Mm-hmm.
That's
wasn't really
keeping that,
touched. It was
yeah,
just touched upon.
yeah, it's keeping me from like seeing it as a better thing than giving your breath away. Cause
Possibly, yeah, because we get a
to
lot about the breath.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, I was trying to just quickly check the chapter and see if there was any mention of if you could stop being a monk or not. 'Cause for some reason I thought there was, but I don't know.
Pretty sure you could just probably leave, but you might not be able to like ever go back.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not stated what happens to them really. So
The monks, you mean?
yeah, like what
Yeah.
happens
I
to
mean,
them in
all,
general?
all we've seen
They
is
could
what
be very
is
well off
if is Fafin, who was like she apparently cleans people's houses and like picks berries for farmers. That's all
and
we've really
enjoys
seen.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, she wanted to become a monk.
hmm which worked out great for her family.
Yeah, which I think Siri specifically was very excited about because it was basically her, Fafin, who were gonna have to
Yep.
be because
And,
Ridger
and
was.
I wonder which one the evil dad would have chosen.
Well, we don't know his thoughts on Fafin.
Right, but I'm pretty sure he would have if he was given the chance between Siri and Fafin. I'm sure he probably would have chose Siri, seeing
I
as
mean, we
he's
don't know. He
the
could also
ruler of the
hate
wolves
Fafin.
here. Good. Maybe the oh wait no, the only women could be monks, right? I think it was.
I don't think so. I think anyone. I think it's just
No,
one child. I think it just happens that he has three daughters and one son.
gotcha.
Um,
Thought it was.
or actually, I don't even think. I think we learned it wasn't actually even about the age. I think it was just because Ridger is technically the firstborn because Vivenna was already promised to the God King, so Ridger counts almost
Mm-hmm.
as firstborn. So I think
I
if
gotcha.
Fafin had been secondborn, she would have instead been inheriting the throne, and maybe Ridger would have become the monk.
Possibly.
Because I think there's male
Um,
monks. I think they said only monks can marry monks. So I think there's like male monks that were interested in Fafin, is what they were saying.
Oh yeah,
or
they did. I think.
Yeah.
no, joke. But I'm low-key annoyed that there wasn't like perspective switches on like the kingdoms and stuff.
Yeah, you want more from like stuff from Idris.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to know what the when the king got that note, what his actual reaction was. That would have been great.
Yeah. I mean, we might get maybe we'll get more stuff later on. We don't know.
Nope, we don't. But like, it just the way that the story or the way the book has been progressing, it's more like all happening in the same time frame. So it
Yeah.
would make it wouldn't to me it wouldn't be as impactful if you're not if with that same idea for a story
Yeah,
if
there's
you
not much
didn't
happening
give it.
probably in Idris right now. We don't know if there's like really much happening, but I mean, there could be. Maybe like the king is bringing together a
Sending
whole
his people.
party to come save Vivenna.
Uh-huh.
You don't know.
We also don't know anything about the people who brought Siri, if they're even alive.
Yeah, the people who were supposedly went back to
Hmm.
Idris, they were allowed to leave or not. Yeah, we don't know.
What if Mob is currently like that's her name, right?
Yeah, map.
Mab.
Yeah. What if she's like currently like saddling up a horse about to charge into battle?
Yeah, she's about to come over here and save Siri, her one true
Yeah.
love. Yeah.
Adopted
Seems
or
like she didn't have
foster
much to
mom
go.
Mab or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. My daughter. I must save my daughter.
She,
We still
she's
don't know what
she's the
happened
one
to
that
the real mom.
she's the one that trained Vasher for sure.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
God. I love this. This is the new theory for forever.
Mab's actually Vasher's mom.
Exactly.
Wait,
Boom.
that would actually be cool.
It would.
Vasher's actually an Idrian.
Huh.
I mean, that's a high possibility at this point.
All right. So yeah. So then we skip a few hours again as it begins to get dark out, and Vivenna is staring out the window. She thinks about how she tries not to think of herself above others, but also looks at what Jules did as an abomination and at Halandrin as heathens. She wonders if she deserved what Jules said to her. Dent then returns and says the job went perfectly. They stole a bunch of salt as they can't use ice in Halandrin to keep meat fresh due to how hot it is. So like stealing all this salt will really affect like their ability to like bring food with them on a long trek to attack Idris. They then talk about vaguely about Jules and Vivenna's conversation, and Dent states that Jules definitely believes in the gods and that working against them isn't really them working against the Handran gods, they're just Vivenna's tools, which we talked about earlier. Uh, Vivenna then asks about Dent's religious views. He says he hasn't believed in anything in a long time, and that his family believed in faiths that most everyone has forgotten by now. He also says he doesn't think the things he believed would make sense to Vivenna. So I just want to know what your thoughts about Dent's comments about his family's religious views were.
Yeah, I don't think we've gone into any like religion that has like faded away yet, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, so I didn't have any idea what like they were talking about.
Maybe he believes in the one true God. He is Christian.
Oh gosh. Thought the one true god is Oster.
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
like
maybe he believes in a higher power known as only God.
maybe it's Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Yeah, he believes in Cthulhu.
Oh my
That's it.
gosh. Cthulhu actually lives in what was this sea called? Whatever the sea was called. This landlocked sea, that's where Cthulhu lives.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's a mermaid. Tenth is a mermaid.
But yeah, so then Vivenna then goes on to say Dent obviously doesn't care about money as he isn't paid much and could easily steal things worth more money than he's making. He's good enough with a sword that he could be paid to be a sports duelist. She then states the only time she's seen him show any emotion is when speaking about Vasher. She asks who he is and he states a mercenary. When she asks who he was, he says that she doesn't want to know. So who do you think Denth was?
Um, Such a wide question.
I know.
There's so much possibility.
He's being
This book
very
is.
vague, but I mean, Pavetta makes a lot of good points about his skills and everything, right? Like, why is he just a mercenary right now?
What if? What if he comes from like like Adrian's desire or something? Because they're good with weapons, no? They have to be.
Remember, I think Idris is a pretty new country because Idris and Halandran were one country before,
Yeah.
before the Many War.
But that was like how long ago?
I think the war ended 20 or so years ago because it ended like around the time Vivenna was born.
Ugh, everything is so new. I wish everything was ancient already.
But yeah, like the
Yeah.
stuff we've gotten about Dent so far is we've been told that he appeared from nowhere. Uh, he's said that he his family believes in faiths that are long forgotten. She wouldn't understand them. I think he's like an inhumanly good swordsman.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that he obviously has skills that would get him lots of money outside of being a mercenary. But he decides to just be a mercenary, and like
Dancing
doesn't get
skills.
paid too well considering like compared to like his skills compared to what Vivenna has seen.
Mhm.
And so yeah, just there's a lot of questions about Dent here. Lots of implications. Any thoughts?
What if what if everyone's just a god?
Everyone is a god.
Because at that point, like, I this I'm so done. My brain is just like sputtering because of how like it could be anything, anything at all. Um, yeah. So them, right? That's what we're talking about.
Denth, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely could be a key character, especially with like more background explanation. You know what I did think though?
Mm.
Um, I think that Denth might have been the one who. Fuck, I can't say that. I don't think we're there yet. You know what I'm thinking about, right?
You think
No?
Denth is the
Yeah.
one that killed the
Yeah.
person? The
Yeah.
servant?
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Cause that might be one of the locations they're gonna raid, you know?
Mm.
Cause you know what might be under the door, you know?
You think the lifeless are under there or something?
Yeah, they could be.
In the cellar door?
Yeah.
Possible. I don't know. I don't have any real concrete theories on that what's there, but I think it's something that's going to be detrimental to the war if it was not there.
Do you have any thoughts about Denth Mythic? All the stuff we've been getting hints at about him?
I mean, aside from the fact that like, I mean, you pretty much hit everything that I was thinking of. Sorry, I had a phone call, but yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit everything that we remember from Death.
Mm-hmm.
It's he's just a very mysterious person. I don't know how somebody could just appear out of nowhere, but I mean, he's very sneaky and he's very fast. So
Mhm, mhm.
You said stinky instead of
Me
sneaky.
too. I was
yep,
like, huh?
he's very stinky. He's very stinky and very fast. No, he's very sneaky
Yeah.
and very fast.
Yeah, because we seem to have information on Tonk Fa and on Jules. Like they have a lot of history, but yeah, Denth is very, very mysterious and very vague about his
Yeah,
about
he's a
himself.
vagabond for sure.
All right, so then we get into our second light song chapter. So we're back with Light Song's POV. He's eager to get up this morning. Up an hour earlier than usual, as per Larimar's comment. And Larimar asks if they should go over Light Song's dreams, which causes images of rain, tempest, storms, and a brilliant red panther to flash through Light Song's mind. However, Light Song says they have more important work, and the dream talk can come later. Light Song states that he wants to go back to Mercy Star's palace, and he doesn't know why. Larimar then insists they go look at the paintings first, however, if people have been waiting to get his reviews. And so, yeah, what do you think about how eager Light Song is to get up and going? Like, he's always, like, sleeping in, slow to get up in the mornings. He's, like, eager. He's ready.
Detective. No, I mean, like, I it kind of goes on the whole thing that we've been talking about in general. I think it's his past self,
Mhm.
and so obviously when when you have something that you really want to do, you tend to like. I mean, for some people, they just don't sleep, and other people they get up real early, real fast because they're so excited to do it.
Mm-hmm. And we know he was thinking about stuff, like, all night. Like, he was, like, the last chapter
Mhm.
ended with him being, like, he was the walk back, the meal, into the night. He was, like, thinking on this.
Yep.
So, and we know he's got some plans coming up. He knows what he wants to get done.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so then we get to go to the painting viewing. And the one painting that they describe there is pretty much just all shades of red. So close in color that the painter must have been at least at the third heightening. And it's waves of bloody soldiers, which I think we learn are there's like some tints of gray on some of them, so some of them are at least lifeless. All reaching towards a woman with a raised hand holding a black sword. We learn that this is depicting the Battle of Twilight Falls, the last battle of the Many War. And apparently Lightsong had known this somehow. What do you guys think of this painting?
What if? Hear me out. What if this is actually a prediction to the future, right? And it's it's Vivenna with
Mm.
the Naplet.
You think it's like a history repeats itself kind of thing?
I think it's
Because it's apparently
I
based
think
on a
it's a
battle.
yeah, but the thing is that they don't see that like
Well,
the
Larimar
others.
says, yeah, he does not see the woman and the sword.
So
Which is a lie.
You think that's a lie?
or
Yep.
or or
I
it's
don't
not a
think.
lie,
Mhm.
and he's actually having a prophetic view, and it's just
Very
Vivenna with the
possible.
sword in the upcoming battle.
So why do you think it's a lie, Mythic?
I think he's trying to steer. Okay, so big brain theory here going on
Mm-hmm.
of that. I think because he obviously somehow knew Light Song before he became Light Song.
Yeah.
I think he is trying to keep Light Song from basically giving his breath away so that he once again dies again. And so the best way for him to maybe do that is to uh, mitigate how much he actually remembers. Like
Mm.
try to manipulate him into believing that he's not a god and all of that, and like making it so that he stays in this position for as long as he possibly can. Kind of like when you hold on to a loved one over the time that they actually should have passed. He's kind of in that
Like kind of
feel,
like
I
in a
think,
hospital
where
bed when you're like, don't want to pull
yeah,
the
where
plug or whatever.
exactly. Whereas like all the doctors are telling you to pull the plug, and yet you just don't want to do it. You can't do it, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to at some point. You have to say, all right, it's time. And I don't think he's gotten to that point that he's ready to say it's time that he lost, a friend or a family member or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
and like he doesn't want to let go of Lightsong, and
Yeah.
he thinks that if Lightsong continues down the path of remembering his past, it'll create an issue so heavily that he's going to end up giving away his breath, and then he'll never be able to see his friend or family or whatever again because
Mm-hmm.
they'll be dead.
Also, just a thought. I mean, there definitely could be deeper meaning to it and all, but there's also we don't know what if any heightening Larimar is at. He might also just not be able to see anything in the
Hmm.
painting because he's not of the third heightening.
Maybe he's the drab.
I think Lightstone probably would mention
Uh,
if he was a drab, but he may just have like his
yeah.
one breath type thing.
Well, we know. I'm sorry, but we kind of know he can't be a drab because he has that. Lightsong technically has that little sense, the life sense thing,
Yeah, and
and
Oh
he
yeah.
has
senses
already made it.
Larimar.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
already sensed Larmar, so we know he has to have at least have a breath.
yeah,
But
yeah. So there could just be the simple reasoning of he's not of the third heightening. He can't see anything in
yeah,
the painting because it's so fucking red.
well, I mean, because it wasn't really stated if he could see the uh, what's the word, the sailboat in the other picture either, though.
Yeah, we
I
don't
don't think
know.
he outwardly said if he could or couldn't see
Yeah,
it.
I think that one though might like this one he specifically said like you have to be of the third heightening to basically see anything. So it might just so that one I think they don't note that, so it might have been a more normal painting where you can actually make out what's in it.
I mean, that's an interesting fact in its own, though. If this is a painting that can only be depicted by somebody with the third heightening, where they can
Hmm.
see the different hues, would that mean that that person who painted it had to have been within the third heightening?
Yeah, that's what Lightsong says, is that the painter must have been
Yeah.
at least of the third heightening.
So
So the
like that.
painter obviously painted this on purpose, if Lightsong's
Mhm.
depicting it properly.
What if
Uh,
drabs are colorblind?
what if what?
I said, what if drabs are colorblind?
I mean, could see the world in a much darker sense.
Yeah, but how would they tell? you know?
Yeah,
Well,
a
I
little
mean,
more
if,
gray.
especially for people, I mean, I think we say that, what is it? Jules, like, I think lost her breath at like age 11 or something, so she would
Mhm.
notice
She said, yeah, that's what she said.
if she suddenly went colorblind.
Yep.
She's like, not like she was like 3 years old and can't remember.
But I mean, would she have talked about it though? She doesn't really
Well,
seem to
yeah, no,
talk
I'm
about
just saying, like,
much.
the darkness said, like, do they know? And I was just like, well, I mean, on the age you get rid of it, you would notice a difference.
Hmm.
Hmm.
All right. So,
I
um,
still I still want to believe that it's a prophetic thing, but
yeah, that's fine.
there's
I was just saying like
It
there
could
could be
be.
a simpler reason, but yeah, Light Song could be still doing something prophetic with it and everything.
I
Like we
mean,
don't
I feel like
know.
if you look into something like that, like if you tell me somebody is a prophet, right?
Hmm.
And I want to believe that, I'm gonna start seeing the signs of prophetic behavior everywhere.
Hmm.
yep.
Like a mere coincidence would become prophetic.
Yeah.
Like so,
Well, I mean, I think that's
still
basically
have.
Light Song's point, like in previous
Yep.
chapters, is he's like, they say my dreams are prophetic and like write it down and everything, but like I just think they're just dreams.
Yep. Pretty
So,
much.
because they've been told like, oh, the dreams of the gods are prophetic.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
obviously
And
we're
if you
gonna
tell
write them
somebody that enough
down
times,
and apply
yep.
meaning to them. um,
Exactly.
but yeah, so we then get Light Song's kind of view of the painting. Light Song, although not usually a fan of war paintings, states it might be the best painting that has ever passed through his halls. Which Larimar seems troubled by this, but can't state his thoughts in case it influences Light Song's review of the painting. This is when Lightsong asked about the sword and the woman, but Larimar apparently can't see anything in the painting. It states that he had just read the name of the painting, and that's why he gave the title. As Lightsong ends the painting reviews, he asks that the one painting not be burned and be kept for his collection. So apparently, not every painting is burned. Apparently, you have all the gods have like their own like little personal collections of paintings that are their favorites.
Hmm.
But yeah, so why do you think Larimar is so troubled, and why do you think Lightsong is so drawn to this painting?
I wish I could see the paintings. Uh, maybe it's just maybe you guys are right, and it's just a past thing.
It's just what?
Maybe you guys are right, and it's just like a thing from his past.
Hmm. If it is from his past, you think it like he was at the many war then, or
Hmm. I mean, I don't remember how old he looks physically. Do you remember?
I think he's supposed to be like pretty. I'd say 20s or 30s at the oldest,
Okay. Yeah, I guess he could
because
be.
I
Could
think
have
he's
been.
supposed to be pretty young looking.
He could have
Mm.
been, because you said it like ended 20 years ago, no?
Yeah, it ended 20 years ago, so I mean,
But
if the
do
timeline
bodies
is correct,
really age
he would have
in
been like a
death?
kid, maybe a young teenager when it ended.
Well, well, to be fair, um, having that much breath does slow down the process. So I'd say give you like maybe 6 years extra.
So yeah, you're saying because of because you think he had the breasts beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So if
Not
that so
not
if
only
so if that is the
not
case and
only
he had more breath before he returned, then yes, he could be quite a bit older than that.
not only that, but after people return, they still like remain like super young, no? Like
Yeah,
from
they I
like
think
where
stop
when they were.
aging. I think they
Yeah.
when you return you just don't age
So
anymore.
and it's a war, so obviously they would have been like put in like young as well. So
What are your thoughts about the Light Song's view of the painting, Mythic?
I mean, I just think I'm kind of with Darkness. I think he might have been older, seen this, seen this at some way, and it's kind of bringing back that memory.
Hmm.
for some reason I thought you were gonna say I just think he's pretty.
Who Light Song? Yeah,
Yeah.
Light Song's fucking gorgeous. It's gorgeous, obviously.
All right.
Maybe he's having
I
PTSD.
I en- I I envy Scoot. I envy Scoot. I want to be near Light Song.
So Light Song then notes that he's very excited to be doing something that doesn't have an answer yet. I think he kind of notes that like
Mm-hmm.
everything nowadays is like kind of just like not very interesting. Like you get given information, like you can't go out and do anything. So he likes that there's something that doesn't have an answer. Larmar notes he's acting odd, but Lightsong states he's always odd compared to the other gods, and thus he's acting just like himself. It's then it's then mentioned they're going back to Mercy Star's palace, and Lightsong wonders if she'll be annoyed. Larmar then gets Lightsong to talk about his dream, and Larmar seems concerned about the storm, but also thinks that Lightsong is lying when he mentions the Red Panther. Do you think there's a particular reason that Larmar thinks the Red Panther is a lie, or it's just because Lightsong tends to kind of be flippant about his dreams?
Well, I mean, if we're going on the if I'm going on the concept that he knew Lightsong before he was Lightsong, maybe the rest of the dream was uh like a part of the past, and so when he started stating the dream, it sounded familiar until he got to that point and was like, okay, well, that sounds made up. I don't remember that actually happening, so he must be making it up to make a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, maybe he just thinks he's exaggerating again. you know, like for yeah, for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Lightsong doesn't usually take the dream stuff too seriously. He seems to take the painting seriously, but not really the dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they walk up to the palace, and Lightsong says he doesn't want to be announced. He notes that the guards are wearing dueling blades. We then learn that Mercy Star is visiting a different god named All-Mother, who also has lifeless commands.
Mm-hmm.
Lightsong wonders if this is Blushweaver's doing, and Lightsong mentions he hasn't spoken to All-Mother in a while, and that she hates him violently.
Yep.
Which I just found amusing. We don't really get any other information about All-Mother, but yeah. So now we know 3 of the 4 gods with lifeless commands, which is Lightsong, Mercy Star, and All-Mother, and there is one other, because I believe they said there was 4. So yeah, then the guards try to stop Lightsong from entering, but Larmar states that they can't unless Mercy Star has specifically told them to. I kind of like how Lightsong's always like, Larmar, can they do that?
Oh, that was my favorite part.
So good.
Every time they would try to defy him in some sly little way,
And then
he was like,
Larmar's
"Hey,
responses
Larmar,
are so
what
good.
what happens if he does this? What happens if they refuse me?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah." I was like, "God
Their
damn,
souls are
this
damned
man."
or something, I think at one point
Yep.
he says.
Oh
So good.
God.
But yeah, so Lightlong then goes inside, and his instincts drive him to go back to where the servant had died. He finds the 2 places where the flooring had been replaced, because he can see like the very slight difference because of
Yep.
his hue, I'm assuming, so the 3rd heightening. He then looks for any other patches of new flooring, and he finds an exact square of newer flooring where the same young priest, when the same young priest as the previous day shows up. Lightsong asks for all the servants and guards who had seen the man who had broken into the palace. The priest tried to resist, but Larmar states that he can only refuse at great peril to his soul. And the priest anyway sends a servant to fetch the people Lightsong requested. Lightsong then stoops down and notices that the floorboards are a trap door, and not as new as the other replaced boards, just newer than the rest of the flooring. Lightsong pretends not to notice the trap door, and it seems to make the priest relax, causing Lightsong to realize that the priest knows about the trap door, and he wonders if the man who broke in did as well. And I think we kind of talked about how you guys don't really know too much about what's under the trap door. I was going to ask you what you
No,
thought was
we
under
don't.
there, but you guys
We
have any
you
theories?
asked the
We'll keep
same. You
going.
asked that question last time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, once all the people are assembled, Lightsong then brings them outside as the hallway is crowded and separates them into groups. We have the 2 guards, the 3 servants, and then a priest who apparently saw the man flee from out a window. Lightsong also makes a comment about one of the guards' unfortunate names, which is Gagaril, who is named after his
Mm-hmm.
father. Lightsong just apologizes for that guy's name. He then has one of the priests go get the lifeless squirrel. Lightsong, along with Larmar, first approach the 2 guards, who explain how they were attacked and show their bruises, and then describe Vasher to him. Lightsong and Larmar then go to the 3 servants, where we learn 2 of their names, which is Rareb and Lolan, and there's another one, which for some reason they don't name. I guess it's not important. And then we learn that the name of the man who died is named Taff. They mentioned they were going to go out to a tavern when they ran into Vasher. They mentioned how the two ran off and Lolan had stayed behind, who he first lies about wanting to have helped Taff. They also mentioned how Vasher threw the sword and Lolan picked it up, saying he wanted to try and fight with it. The two who ran off say when they came back, Lolan was unconscious and Taff dead, stabbed right through. Lolan then explains that Vasher ran up and punched him, uh, and his reason for not using the sword was that the sword was too big to be used. Lightsong then notices that Lolan's hand is bandaged, and we see that his hand is gray, drained of color, which apparently never happens. Lightsong then pushes him to ask if he was involved, and Lolan breaks down crying, saying he cheats at gambling and goes to brothels, which shocks his friends. They're like, "What the fuck?" But he wasn't involved in this. Lolan also describes the sword as a beautiful black sword. Lightsong then has the man repent before he and Larmar walk away. Um, and then we go to Larmar then seems confused as to why Lightsong is interested in investigating, and snorts when Lightsong mentions that being a god had awful hours. They then speak to the young priest that apparently saw the man outside the window. He doesn't have much information, just saying he couldn't see much about the man from where he was. They then walk away, and Larmar states that he believes Lightsong predicted this by seeing a black sword in the painting earlier. Lightsong does not believe this was a prediction. Do you think Lightsong was making a prediction, or was the painting actually intended to have someone holding a black sword in it? Also, what do you just think about all the information we got, including the colorless hand of the one servant?
Uh, uh, so we're getting like a little more information on what Nightblood does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the colorless stuff. Um,
Yeah, we're assuming that's the hand that must have grabbed Nightblood.
yeah. Um, I'm still wondering what it like does if it's like like if it goes further than what it did. Um, Honestly, they're trying their hardest to hide that piece of information of the whole trapdoor thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something like extremely valuable that probably even the goddess might not know.
Well, they're obviously hiding
Uh,
it from Lightsong, at the very least.
yeah, so highly likely that they don't know. So, uh,
What
yeah,
was the question?
I'm gonna wait a little bit more to discuss because um, there's pieces we haven't talked about yet that I
Okay.
wanna stick
Hmm.
into this theory, but
Yeah. I just wanted to Mythicula your opinions on the colorless hand, their kind of interrogation of all the people, and also whether you believe Larmar when he says that the him seeing the black sword in the painting was a prediction of this, knowing about the black sword here.
I mean, yeah, but on Larmar part, yeah, I believe. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like he's trying to protect Lightsong from something.
Hmm.
Um, like he knows more than he's letting on, and he should honestly just come tell him why, so that maybe they could be in and on it together. Um, but yeah, no, I think the whole hand thing when it became basically to me what it seems like is drab, where it's pulling the color from it. We kind of get an idea on the fact that like that lights or not lights on wow, can't remember what it is. Nightblood. Nightblood is different. He does different things. His biochroma is like making things darker. So
Yeah.
like obviously he's not the same. So maybe he's instead of like brightening up colors, he's siphoning colors. And I mean it would make a lot more sense of why, his hand went dark,
Hmm.
like sort of
possibly.
like an inverted
Mm-hmm.
biochrome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the sword seems very inverted in general.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So like he just doesn't seem. It, it seems very weird. But yeah, like I don't know, they're definitely hiding things from people, and they shouldn't be. Like Larmar's hiding things from Light Song, and I feel like there's probably a reasoning behind it, but I don't know how concrete that reasoning is going to be.
Hmm.
And then obviously they're hiding the trapdoor and what its contents might be from, at least at the point right now, Light Song. Um, so
I
Yeah.
I severely doubt that they wouldn't hide it from their own god. I mean, like,
I
you
think they
see
do.
the way she's acting and stuff,
Yep.
like her personality. I doubt she knows. Because after all, they did discuss that she was easy to manipulate.
Also, a question I just thought of: do you think there are trapdoors in other palaces, or is this
I was
just under
gonna say
Mercy
that.
Stars?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. There's definitely, well, not definitely, but like, there's probably gonna be like a similar storage area in Light Songs and in all the other like gods with commands for like
So you think it's just in
lifeless.
gods with lifeless commands?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it's a tunnel that connects all of the temples together.
And there's like a secret organization under it, which is just priests taking
Well,
care of like the
how
god
do
secrets.
I mean, like, think about it though. How do the servants go from spot to spot? Like they could have something like a tunnel like that. Maybe that's where all the
That's
stuff
kind
is
of
being
scary.
stored.
That's
Maybe that's where all
terrifying
this
to think
stuff is
about.
being stored. The
Yeah.
whole bathroom.
Imagine trying to get it up and down a trapdoor though, like a fucking bathtub.
I mean,
Without being
imagine
seen.
moving an entire tree from one place to another.
Gosh.
Crazy.
Uh,
Maybe you actually give me an idea. Well, like maybe it is a tunnel system, but it's for like the lifeless and like to get ready and everything. Sort of
Maybe.
like strategic tunnels and stuff.
hmm. All right. So, anyways, after that, Larmer states that Lightsong shouldn't get involved with things he predicts, and he asks
Mhm.
Lightsong for his opinion on the murder. Lightsong states that he believes there were two men, one who knocked out everyone, and one who came in after and killed the only conscious man who would have seen him. Because we know that the rope guy is the only one who was conscious. Lightsong then thinks that they both vanished down the trapdoor. Do you think Lightsong's hypothesis is correct?
Yeah, probably. They didn't
Yep.
see
And
them
then
leave, did they?
and next chapter we're gonna find out Vasher is dead.
No, that'd be so ass. I think that
Basher's
second
dead and then he
person was
becomes a returned. You were all wrong.
Yeah, right.
ah fuck.
Becomes a returned
Imagine
then.
return times two.
Oh no, the double return.
Uh, I think the second person going in was Denth probably.
So yeah, you think Denth is
You
the one
think
who went
Dent?
in.
Yeah,
You think Dent is there?
he
Oh,
he
okay.
has the
A
skill.
dueling blade. He also has a dueling blade,
Exactly.
which is what was stated. So
Yeah, and he's a
interesting.
mercenary, so he wouldn't want to be seen either way.
Yeah, I mean, and he was gone for quite a while. So
And
Well, it would have been
I'm
the
saying
night
like,
before, I believe. It wouldn't have been during that day,
yeah,
based on the
uh,
timeline.
I'm saying that like, if it is a lifeless storage area,
Hmm.
um,
mhm.
that could be one of the places they're gonna raid. So he might be scouting it out and stuff.
Possibly.
And Vivenna did talk about seeing Vasher, so maybe he's like low key worried about that, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna see what he's up to.
Mm.
Cutting, cutting to Death next chapter.
Right. I will be right back if you want to continue to the next thing.
Okay.
I'm watching it on my phone as I walk away.
Okay. So yeah, there was just one more little paragraph here that I had. for the review, which is Light Song then brings up how he doesn't understand why he's figured this all out. He worries that he was someone useful, and Larimar states that he has been told he died doing something brave. However, he can't say anything else about Light Song's past. Light Song then complains that wanting to investigate things is going to ruin his reputation. He also asks Larimar to have his priest break the commands on the lifeless squirrel. Lightsong also internally calls this mystery a case and thinks about how he didn't have to relearn how to do anything. He just forgot his memories. He wonders what else he can do when he tries. So, Darkness, do you want to go into your whole theory then, finally? So that's the end?
I think I'm good.
Oh, okay.
It's because my theory, I have like a huge theory, right? But it ties into so many things that I've said. So I have to see if at least something plays out, you know?
Well, do you want to just recap it then? Because we were waiting on Mythic to get back anyways.
Well, I mean, it can go so many ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Fine, I'm
it
back.
can either be a case in like how Mythic said, which is detective's case, like right, or it could be a case as in like I'm working like a job sort of thing for like mercenary wise, which is like could have been that other theory that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, I really want to see what's under the chat doors too. Um, yeah,
It's a lot of
I still
mysteries here.
think that like sort of um painting thing with like the woman with the black sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's low key a prediction to Vivanna getting trained by Vasher,
Mm.
or at least her getting the sword at some point.
You think she's gonna take over Nightblood?
Probably,
Do you
because
think
they're
she's
gonna
pure
have to.
enough of heart to be around Nightblood?
Oh yeah, I think she's pure enough of heart for sure. Like,
uh,
I definitely think she's naive enough to be pure of heart.
um, there's also definitely gonna have to be an interaction because the people she's working with knows Vasher, and if
Mm-hmm.
my theory is correct, then um, and Death is the one that like broke in after. They're gonna confront each other. So yeah,
What are your
I mean,
thoughts?
didn't Vasher say something about somebody telling him where this was? Like he
Yes, he
had
got
gotten
information
information
from
from
someone.
somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that same someone is who showed up behind him.
Mm. You think that one gave him the information so that he could kind of do the dirty work and they could follow in after because they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get in themselves?
hmm.
Yeah, it's a theory. I mean, my theory is that about Lightsong is that he's a criminal in his past, but
Mm-hmm.
or something to that extent. I mean, because you, as a criminal, you could case a job. I mean, as a detective, you could case a job. You know, like so, case works out real well in that scenario. But
I mean, he could have
and
been a
how he
dirty
just
cop,
knew that
still
way.
be a
Yeah,
case.
he could have. They could have. I
A
mean,
dirty
there's
cop?
a
A
dirty
dirty cop,
guard.
yeah.
Yeah, the dirty guard. Yeah, maybe he was a priest.
Would priests be investigating things?
That's that was.
Nope.
Well, I mean, technically, if we're going by our theories, then probably yeah. You know. Um.
I mean,
hmm.
priests seem to do anything the gods want them to do, so they could investigate something. They could be told to investigate something.
You know what? Here's the best theory of all, right?
Uh
Siri's actually the God King.
oh. Who?
Siri.
Siri is the God King.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she's gonna take over everyone and everything, and then the
I
end.
see. I see.
Or maybe she'll have a kid with Susabran, and then Susabran, and then the kid will gain all of the power, and then she'll teach the kid to be better than Susabran and be able to speak his mind, and then they'll rule over Halendrin, and the end of that'll be the breaking of the war. I don't think we have that long in the book. Like I don't think they have the whole 9 months to go, but whatever.
I mean, there were pretty decent time skips, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's like time
Uh,
skips here and there,
like
time
a
skips here
month, I
and
think
there.
is the most so far.
Yeah. Um. What if Cthulhu just swallows the world?
Oh my god.
Yeah, comes right out of that sea that's right next to Hallandren. Yeah.
And then the only one left standing is Dan. No, but I think that's like, generally like speaking seriously, that's all my theories so far that I want to
Hmm.
give out.
That you want to think about.
That I want to give out because
Oh.
I'm waiting for some stuff to play out.
Uh, yeah, I know. I'm waiting for midnight here to say we're gonna read from 27 to 54.
No, that is not happening. All right,
Have a nice 9 hour thing.
I've got my final overview questions here, and then I'll tell you what chapters
Yes.
we're reading. So we didn't get a chapter with Vasher this time. Uh, do you think we're
The
gonna
one about
get?
Vasher though.
Do you think we're gonna get a Vasher chapter next episode? And also, what all do you think we're going to learn during Vasher's chapter?
Hopefully, what's below that trapdoor if we do.
Just time skips. You're not no longer in the under the trapdoor, and you just like I learned things, and then you get nothing else.
Oh no, that would be torture. No,
But because Lightsong's investigating it, do you think we're gonna not have a Vasher chapter for a while Lightsong investigates, or do you think we're gonna learn ahead of Lightsong what happened?
I
I
think
hope
we
we learn
had.
ahead of Light Song.
Yeah, I think we had enough light song chapters this time, and it doesn't seem that like
No, we need
uh,
more.
but yeah, well, yeah, personally, obviously, if we're gonna think that, but I mean, like in the books, like like chapter, how it's been going, like tracking and everything, they're definitely gonna switch up, especially from what I've heard that from you that like it like switches perspectives and stuff so
Yeah,
easily. So
Hmm.
especially later when
yeah,
well the Sanderlands comes up when she said it was gonna swap, 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 swap.
yep,
That's usually how it goes. Yeah, is it'll be. I mean, in this book, I think he's had more than in other books where like we have had other chapters where it does switch between characters within a chapter, which I was surprised about. I didn't remember that they did in this book, but I usually yeah you'll get at least two, if not sometimes more POVs in one chapter. Sometimes in
you know,
the Sanderlanche.
it would be cool
Mm,
if the God King somehow is forced or finds the way to like give Siri his power.
interesting.
That
You
would be
can give
cool,
Siri the
in my
power.
I
opinion.
mean, I'm kind of hoping that however many chapters we read next time, the in that sometime Vasher and Dent actually get to meet one another again.
Yeah,
Mm.
I want to see
that,
that. I
that
want to see that go down.
that was one of my theories. Like that they're
Yeah.
definitely gonna clash. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like Denth is gonna be giving Vasher a hug or anything when they when they meet
But I
up.
mean, he also stated that he's a tool of Avena's.
so
So
then it can be like
maybe,
10 down. No,
Yeah, but he also
maybe.
thinks
I
he
mean,
also thinks that Vasher might want to kill Vivenna, so he might think, oh yeah, me taking out Vasher would actually be a help.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, but he also has made numerous claims that he won't sometimes won't listen to her. So
Hmm.
hmm I
Uh,
want
yeah,
to
I'm
see
hoping.
Vivenna and Siri clashing at some point.
Oh
yeah,
my
it'll be
god.
interesting. I
Yeah.
mean, they've got to meet
Hopefully
up at
Siri
some
gets some
point.
power.
They've
Like,
definitely got
like,
to meet up at some point because Vivenna's whole plan is to rescue
yeah,
Siri. So,
but like, but I feel like if they do clash, it's gonna be more like a misunderstanding instead of like I hate you. Look at what you
Mhm.
are. You
yeah, I
know?
mean, they both have like, I mean, Vivenna obviously has like very selfless like goals with it all thing, and she thinks Siri's being forced into like horrible situations. Siri's in like this awful. I mean, Siri's not in a great place, but the situation at least with the God King is not as and like the servants and everything is not as bad as what
Yeah,
Vivenna is imagining.
yeah.
But she's still obviously like as Bluefingers has been warning, she's not necessarily safe.
And Siri doesn't even know if Vivenna's there, so
No, she doesn't. She hasn't seen Vivenna. She didn't see Vivenna in the crowd. I mean, Vivenna was probably like disguised and everything, so
Yeah, Vasher noticed her. So.
Asher knows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what do you think is going to happen next with Ciri and Susebron's plotline? Now that he's learning to communicate properly?
um I feel like I feel like the priests like are are gonna start like pretty soon gonna start getting like why is she not pregnant? you know,
It hasn't even been that long.
It's
it,
been, I
it's
think it's been
A
like,
month. It's been a
yeah, it's been
month.
like about a month. So you don't usually start to show till what, two,
Exactly.
3 months?
Exactly. So she's
yeah,
got
but
another month.
but it's been a couple of days, right? Since she started doing the little
I
shuttle or
actually,
whatever. Right?
what I just thought is, if you can life sense people, can they life sense if she's pregnant? Like that doctor?
Wait, wait. I wonder at what point they would be able to, because I don't think it would start that like
Yeah,
as
I
soon
wouldn't
as.
start. Yeah, that
I
I'm
wonder if you could
actually.
life. I mean that brings a whole political
Wait,
side
but
into
Yeah,
here
I don't know if we
of
want to get into the
when is life life? Yeah,
politics
when
of
is
it,
life life? You
but I'm just
know,
wondering if like they can sense if she's pregnant or not. Like if you have like a
possibly.
different feel to
But
you.
I mean, I feel like there'd be. I mean, they do say women have a glow when they're pregnant, so
Yeah, like I'm wondering if you can tell. Like even if there's not like a separate life yet, like if you can kind of
maybe there's like a
tell.
wait, midnight.
fluctuation
Is that why you've been
where
glowing lately?
You've
not
got two
another
breasts
vampire.
inside you instead of one.
What if it's like this is so hard to think about because we don't know if it's gonna be like that at like that at like creation, which I severely doubt because his name's stillborn, right? So it's probably gonna
Mhm.
be like that at like birth.
Mhm.
But even so, like, is it like a fluctuation in her own like breath or like biochroma, or is it a fluctuation in the child?
Okay.
Uh,
Mhm.
Also, here's another theory, at least that I just thought of. Technically, it's called breath, and you don't take your first breath until you come out of the womb.
That's true. That's
yeah.
true.
So, like, maybe it doesn't technically have a breath yet, meaning it would be a drab, and
Mhm.
then and it's already stated that they can't sense drabs. So,
That's true. That's true.
Or what if it's a stillborn because it's in taking so much breath, it like overcharges like the young Lena? Because they could like pass it on instantly, like from the
yeah, you're
queen
saying
like
during
queen.
coitus, yes.
Yeah. So
That's what I was thinking of. Like,
like
slowly he loses his power over time. Which, and then it gave me the thought because you made the comment about Vivenna and Siri having a somewhat fight of maybe they actually start doing things, and then uh, in turn, it gives the child the breath, but Siri is able to use it.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Hence, also why they would be afraid of her.
I do have
Mm.
a declaration. Right?
Yeah.
So if Susebron dies, I quit. Right?
What? No.
I know. I
Why? Not that good.
no. He's my favorite.
I
You
know,
know,
but
you
he's
know
not
who's
that
not
good.
that good? Lightsong's not that good.
You're right. But if Light Song died, I wouldn't out the whole book.
Yeah, no, I would quit. I would quit.
I think Lightsong needs to die at some point. Like he's gonna have to give his breath at some
They're
point
all
if
gonna
that's
die
the
at
way
some
that
point.
Everyone must die at some point.
Well, yeah,
it's
because
the
I mean,
cycle of life. Come into this world breathing and you leave it a drab.
or dead, lifeless.
A drab, yeah.
All right. Another question I had was, we didn't get to see Vivenna meeting with the other Idrians yet. Do you think we'll get to
But
see that
yeah,
meeting soon?
I
I
hope so.
I
Maybe
don't
Vash will
know.
be there.
Yeah, I think she'll start getting desperate. Like, I kind of want to go.
Hmm.
Let me go. Yeah.
Maybe she'll sneak out, like she snuck
No,
out of
I
her
doubt
father's
it.
kingdom. Leave a
I
note to Denth and everybody and be like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'll be back
2.0.
eventually.
She hires new
If
mercenaries.
I'm not, I'm probably dead."
If she does sneak out, that would give her an excuse to like uh meet Vasher or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe Vasher will see her on the corner and be like, "Oh, hello. My name is
Either
Vasher."
either I want you dead or why are you out alone?
Yeah,
He'll come up with
well,
a new name. We already know he's had multiple names. He'll be like, actually, my name is Fred.
Frederick. My name is Frederick. You know, von Usul Kowalski the Third.
Oh my god.
If
uh,
anybody in the chat understands that, I'd be surprised.
so my final question was, uh, considering where Light Song's plotline seems to be going, were you expecting this from Light Song? Like his plotline to kind of go into this kind of like investigative kind
Oh,
of
I don't know
like
about that part, but I definitely thought he was going to take a much more leading role in
I
the
felt
politics aspect.
yeah, I felt like he was gonna be a little bit more defiant towards like what Blushweaver wants, and technically he's going there. So
yeah, he's kind of got a mixture of like defying. He's trying. It seems like he's kind of
well,
trying to do like a I'll go along with her, but also try and keep her in check at the same time.
yeah. Well, to be fair, he has put like his foot down, as in like Siri's not like a problem,
Yeah,
and he like severely doubts it was like a Adrian that
yeah, because
fucked
like
up the
his
place.
whole
But
his conversation with Larimar was like, Larimar was like, oh well, Idrian's could still take breath. Like we have heard of some Idrians who will like
yeah, but the
go against
lifeless.
their religion and take breath, and he's like, yeah, but they don't awaken. Have you ever heard of one using like a lifeless or awakening? And he's like, okay, fair.
Yeah, I,
Like no matter how corrupted like Idrians get, they generally won't use like a lifeless. Like that's going far for them.
I feel like Loki Scoot is starting to piss me off.
Really?
What? No. Who's
Yeah,
the
because
best?
like I get it, right? Like he's chilling with like his god or whatever, but he he he's so aggravating. Just give an answer, you know?
Well, I think he
Yeah, but I
might
mean,
like.
there
I
might be
think
a
he'd get in
reason.
like big trouble if he.
Yeah, there might be a reason
Yeah,
other
but I
than
mean
just the
like,
trouble. He might actually be executed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think
it's his
priests can be
word.
replaced a lot easier than gods can be.
Yeah, for
oh
sure.
yeah.
But
But
like,
can you wipe a god's memory though? Is the question.
well, probably. So, I mean, he knew him too, like beforehand. So it's like,
Well, that's the assumption, at least, yeah, that he somehow knew him beforehand. He definitely knows about him, like who he was. So maybe he was a criminal.
It's true, maybe.
maybe he died bravely protecting his loot. You know?
But yeah, so those are all my questions for this episode. Did you guys enjoy these chapters?
Yep.
Yeah, I want to get to 30 now.
Yeah, we actually are. We're going chapters
Yeah,
27,
figured four.
28, 29, and 30 are the
Figured
next.
four.
Yeah, it's four again. And we're going to be over halfway through the book by the end of next episode. So we're finally getting over the halfway point. So we've been getting a lot of build up and mysteries. Maybe as we're getting over the halfway point, we'll start getting more answers and more meetings.
I'm hoping the
I
next
just want,
chapter.
I just want, I just want Midnight to give us answers. All right.
No, I can't give you answers.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
Midnight's like fucking Scoot. All right, they just won't tell us
Yep.
things.
Yep.
We're the gods, and Midnight is Scoot.
I see, I see. All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys for doing this. I
Oh
also
no.
wanted to say thank you to the people who have been listening to the podcast on Spotify and I think Google Podcast too. We've actually had some listeners, which is very exciting. Always nice to have
Yes. Yes.
actual people listening to us. So thank you guys so much to the people from I believe it was US, Canada and or sorry, US, Mexico and Australia. I think Canada was just me and Jesus still. So, thank you so much to everyone
You
who's
sure the
been
U.S.
listening.
wasn't me?
No, there was some from Florida, but there was also some from Massachusetts and New Mexico.
Ooh,
Yes.
So, thank you
options.
to all the people from that have been listening to us and we hope you continue enjoying. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.